Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm testing some new decks today. That's my only disclaimer. Testing some new decks today. And I've got coffee off to the side. New coffee I'm testing as well, technically. So, as usual, I always start off with a prayer. And then we're going to get right into it. So, okay. So, let's dive into this right out of the gate. These cards are a little smaller than I thought they were going to be. Let's store, no, too many, way too many. All right. What is in store for this collective? Start out with life is meant to be lived. Cut those cords, let the past stay in the past. Okay. Hold on, I'm going to get one more, but I think I know where this is kind of going. I'm also really sorry in advance if the audio is clipping. I'm just noticing I have a bit of a different setup if you can't tell, and I'm using a different camera again. So I apologize in advance. Okay. Visualize and meditate on your goals and dreams and focus your energy. So this card here, this is the card, cut your cords, let the past stay in the past, okay? This card was the one that came up reversed, okay? Now, the reason I think that's important for this collective is I feel like there's a message here of this collective of you've spent so much time in survival mode. You spent so much time working and trying to be in this survival mode. Almost in like, I'm getting a sense of perfectionism with this collective. Like you're really struggling, like you have these ideas and you've got these ambitions and these goals and these dreams, but you're really struggling with a sense of perfectionism. Everything needs to be perfect, everything needs to be exactly the way it needs to be, and if it's not like that, then it's no good. And there's really a message here of like, you need to let go of that energy, okay? And that's why cut those cords. There's been I was going to say a lack. That's interesting, but I actually want to say an inconsistency. There's an inconsistency with this collective in terms of managing the energy, in terms of cutting the cords, in terms of let the past stay in the past. There's also a sense here of dwelling. When I read that, I'm getting this feeling of like dwelling on things that didn't work, on things that are failures in your mind, whether they're true failures or not. And there's really a message here of, look at, okay, all of us can claim that we've got failures. All of us can claim that we've got these issues. All of us have a section of our past that we prefer not to look at to some degree. Okay, we've all got things that we're ashamed of. We've all got things that we're not that happy with. So there's no point in dwelling on those things. Okay, there's no point on dwelling on those old things, on those old relationships, on those old workships, friendships. Really interesting that I immediately went into. First off, I picked up the relationship stack, which I find is interesting. But then I immediately went into relationships with this. But it could also apply to jobs, to work, to personal projects that this collective has been working on. Is whatever your perceived failure was, you need to let that go. Okay, you can't move forward in an energetic space. Energetically, you're not going to move forward if you don't first go and if you don't clear out and deal with that old energy. In some cases, I do want to say this because it's something that I think a lot of people miss when they do readings. It's not always energetic. Sometimes it is energetic. Let me rephrase that again. It's not always just energy. Sometimes you need to work through the emotions. And the emotions are energy, and I'm not saying they're not, but sometimes you need to go do the hard work of working through the emotions from that time period to be able to be energetically and emotionally in the present, to be able to do things now, to be able to focus your energy now, to be able to move your energy forward now. Okay, and then you've got life is meant to be lived. There's really a huge reminder here, a huge reminder that life is meant to be lived. So live it. Do the thing you want to do. Open the business. Open that business. Okay. The printing on these cards I think might need to be fixed. But anyways, open that business. Yeah. For those of you that are going back and forth between your spiritual business and you're like, oh, well, but it's been a failure, or I don't have time, or how am I going to do this, or how am I going to fit this in? Just do it. Just do it. Be a Nike commercial and just do it. Stop asking yourself all these questions because it's just procrastination. It's procrastination questions. It's procrastination energy. And yeah, it ain't serving you. It ain't serving you. That's all I'm going to say there. It's not doing you any justice, this energy. So you might as well just... Sorry, I read this card as I was talking. I'm going to read this and you'll understand why I kind of chuckled. Are you going where you want to go? And if not, why not? Are you going where you want to go? Are you doing the thing you want to do? And if the answer is no, why aren't you doing it? And I don't mean the excuses. A lot of people, I do one-on-one coaching for those of you that don't know. And I have a number of clients that come through and they sit down and we're on a Zoom call and I go, okay, so, you know, you had all these goals and these visions and these dreams and, you know, you did short-term goals and like very, very short-term goals, which I usually set with a lot of clients. So which ones did you finish? And the number of clients that go, oh, well, I didn't get around to, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I started off with a meditation practice, which was one of my goals, but I didn't finish, like I only managed 3 days. And then when I say why, all of a sudden, there's all these excuses. All of a sudden, there's all these, but distractions, right? Distractions in family, distractions in what you're doing, distractions in texts and phone calls and people interrupting you and having to move your energy, move your focus from, okay, this is where the energy needs to be and this is what you need to do, and you're being distracted and you're being pulled away. Okay? It's not to say, again, that if you're being pulled away, that it's necessarily bad. Okay? That's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying that. But you need to understand when those distractions, you need to set a barrier down, you need to set a boundary down, or when it's time to say, okay, like now you're just creating the distraction. Does that make sense? Because I do feel like there's an energy here of almost like creating the distraction. Like, okay, well, I know this needs to be done, but I'm really uncomfortable and I don't want to do it. Look at, okay, I just did a video and I did another video that'll be published before this one or posted before this one. And in that video, I talk about how where I live, it's tax season right now. And at that time, I didn't do my taxes. I have done my taxes as of this one. Taxes are something we all have to do. There are something we all have to, we got to do, we got to go through the hassle. And sometimes it doesn't take long. Like this year, my taxes went by really, really fast, a lot faster than I thought they would, which is great. And some years it's been, you know, a little bit drawn out, but you got to do it nonetheless. And there's going to be parts and things in your journey, right, where you don't want to do it. You don't want to do the research about publishing a book. You don't want to do all the research about technology and how to post YouTube videos and, you know, how to edit videos and constantly having to Google different things to edit your video and audio and how to do audio and all this. There's things like that that genuinely in your life are going to come about, and you're never going to want to do those things. And they're just not enjoyable. But they're a necessary evil for you to reach the goal that you've got. So how badly do you want that? How badly do you want that goal? How badly do you want to do that thing? Okay? How badly is it that you want to create that life for yourself? Because if you're struggling to create it, do you want it bad enough? Let me rephrase that. Actually, I don't like the way I worded that, because that's wrong. That's wrong. You guys have people that are really like blocking this a little bit. You've got people in your life, this collective, that is not... Hold on, let's see if that will come through with this deck. You've got people in your life. Okay, so you've got the intuitive AF card that came out, right? And obviously, if you're on this channel, we know that you're most likely intuitive. Okay, we were very aware of that. But right after that card came out is heal your inner child by being a child. Bring joy and fun back into your life. And this is also really reminding me of the live your life, or life is meant to be lived card. Is go live your life. I just recently did a video. I don't know why this is making me think of this. So I'm going to tell you guys this story because I recently just did this video. It's going to go on my other channel and won't be posted here. My other channel is the Arcane Bohemian. I'll put the link and all the deeds to that down in the description box if you're interested. And in that video that I did, that's going to be posted probably around the same time as this one or shortly before, I was talking about how in the age of remote work and freedom, there's so many people with mindset blocks around their job, around freedom, right? And so there's all these people who, I especially noticed this with the younger kids, a lot of them, and to an extent some millennial generation people as well, is they turn around and they go, oh, I just want 2 weeks off so I can go on vacation. And I find that really interesting because obviously, like, I do this, I do a number of things. I run an Etsy shop, I have 2 YouTube channels, I'm working on my website, I'm about to publish a book, I'm writing a second book, completely different topics for both of them. I'm working on some online courses for you guys. There's a lot that I do. And some things, yeah, I do need to be kind of more in an office space. Okay, my readings, I don't necessarily. This just happens to be where I tend to do them. But some things I am out and about and I am walking my dogs and I'm filming, or I am, having a picnic and I'm editing my book and things like this. And I find it really interesting because we live in an age where remote work or this work from home environment is so popular. And yet there's so many people who now have this mindset block of, well, I need to have vacation time. And I go, well, but why? Well, so that I can go on vacation. Okay, but why don't you make your life your vacation? Okay, and this is the vibe I'm getting here, right? With the life is meant to be lived, it's almost like we have this generation who on one hand is all about, we're going to change the workforce, and they have to an extent successfully done that, right? Remote work is like more plentiful than it ever has been before. Working from home is more accepted than it ever has been before, and you're able to get decent pay for it, right? Accessibility to the internet, you're able to take your phone, hotspot, and you've got internet on your computer now. And you can now run Zoom calls, and I know this because I've done it. You now run Zoom calls on your computer, right? From the internet that's on your phone, right? So there's all these technology now, between technology and between how we've managed to change this. There's nothing stopping you from hopping on a flight and going to Mexico and working from Mexico, except the mindset. Accept your fears, right? When you look at children do things and they're not doing things out of fear. The children doesn't know to fear the snake until their mother, who's already scared of snakes, who was taught that fear, tells her child to stay away from the snakes and it's something to be scared of. But the child doesn't know to fear that. The child doesn't know to fear the spiders until they're in a situation where they're being told to fear spiders, or in the sometimes very unlikely event that something happens, like they got bit by a spider. And that turned really, really bad. So the mindset of this collective, you have such amazing ideas, you've got such amazing creativity, you've got such amazing visions and goals, but you're also so blocked. You're so blocked. And you're so blocked also by people in your life. You're blocked, but there's other people who you're looking for validation. This collective does, right? And you're looking for validation in the wrong spaces, okay? And so I kind of forget where I was going with this story in terms of the message here, but I'm really just getting this sense with this collective. Oh yeah, I really am just getting this sense with this collective, honestly, that it's not that you don't know how to do something. It's that you've put your own, you've changed your situation, but then you've taken all the limiting beliefs and all the limiting factors from your previous situation and you've applied them into your new situation. Okay? Just like we have a whole generation of people they've changed their work situation, but they've taken the mindset of being stuck in an office space where they can't do anything in a 5x5 cubicle, and that's their mindset, but they've applied that mindset now to their work at home job or to their remote job. And so now you need to understand that you're now in a completely different circumstance. So you got to change the mindset to match that circumstance. And if you're on the bridge of two different circumstances, then what is the mindset that you want to have to bring to attract in the energy of the circumstance that you're trying to call in? Does that make sense? I felt like I said circumstance way too many times. Okay. Support. Yeah. I'm going to say something here because this is an energy that I've been picking up, and I've picked it up a number of readings. If you've watched some of my other readings, you know that I've picked up this energy from other readings as well. There's two types of support in the world. There's genuine support, and then there's support from the type of people, and I'm not really sure what I would call this type of support, but support from the type of people who are there so that they know your next move, so that they can gossip, so that they can tell other people, right? So that they can get the inside scoop as to what it is you're doing. And what I'm getting from this is be mindful of who is legitimately there supporting you, because the people that are there supporting you aren't always there to legitimately support you. And there's a level of, needing to understand that, needing to work about that, needing to be mindful of that, needing to discern that, right? You can be very intuitive, but do you know how many intuitive people there are in the world right now who lack an extraordinarily large amount of discernment? It's actually pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. So learning discernment is going to be one of your biggest assets. It's going to be one of your biggest assets. Also, the other big asset here, before I move on, the other big asset that I'm getting with this collective here is that you need to trust yourself more. Once you trust yourself, and I mean unconditional, I factually know that I can do this thing and nothing can stop me. I know that I can do this. I know I can create this. I know I can make this happen. You need to have this certainty and this trust in yourself that is unshakable. And once you have that, all of a sudden the support from people who are not genuinely there to support you is going to start falling away. And it's going to fall away naturally because you're going to have so much confidence that they're going to realize that you're going to see them for exactly what they are, which is just leeches trying to find out what you're doing. Right? They're not genuinely there to support and help you out. They're not genuinely there. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the other deck to help you. Okay. We also have things will work out for the highest good and let it go. Right. I'm really getting a lot of the energy of this collective is really a lot about letting go of that old energy, clearing it out, clearing your space, clearing your things, clearing that out. We also just passed, at the time that I'm filming this, we just had the spring solstice, or Ostara, or Nowruz, and this is now the perfect time at the start of spring, you know, and really all throughout April. Actually, I would say April in general is a pretty good month to do this, is to clear out all your energy. Clear your office space, clear your closet, clear out all that stuff that's in your garage. Do a massive spring clean, because as you're doing that and as you move things around and as that energy and as things come up, you now have a chance to process, what is it that's actually useful? What is it that you're just holding on to that doesn't serve a purpose? And what is it that is actually there to support you? Right? What are you actually there? What is actually there that's going to benefit you? Right? Well, relationships, I find it really interesting, the Two of Cups, because earlier on I was talking about relationships and then the Two of Cups comes out. Some of you have supportive partnerships, but you don't even realize how supportive your partnership is. And some of you are trying to call in a supportive partnership. And if you're part of that second group especially, this is your confirmation that as you're clearing this energy out and as you're shifting things in your life, you're going to attract the people who align in a partnership, specifically a relationship partnership, specifically into the type of life that you want, if that is something that you are looking for. This could also be partnerships in your business life. It's not always romantic. Two of Cups does not always deal with romantic relationships. This is also, because we do have the open the business, it's also giving me vibes of really just making sure that you've got solid partnerships in whatever endeavor that you're doing. So if you're opening, say, a brick and mortar shop, for example, or even like an online business where you're going to have people underneath you, you're calling in people that are aligned with your vision. But you can only do that. This is the important part. You can only do that when you've processed all the emotions, when you've cleared out all the energy, when you've let go of and cut all those cords and cleared all that out. That's the only, you cannot bring in new things when you're holding on to the old. It just, there's an energetic conflict there. And the stronger energy, which is the comfortable energy, is always going to win in that circumstance. We've also got the Empress. It's actually turned up reversed, which is not that surprising because I said at the start of this that a lot of this collective was in survival mode. And the Empress in reverse talks about survival mode and lacking nurturing, right? Needing to be more nurtured. The inner child is also dealing with that, right? The heal your inner child, bring joy and fun back into your life. Empress reverse talks about that, right? Bringing joy and fun back into your life. Okay, getting out of survival mode, nurturing yourself a little bit more. Okay, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Giving yourself grace. Right, understanding, right, spending more time in nature, right. Some of you have been thinking about getting a pet, so just do it, okay, because pets are really, really healing. And then we've got the moon that's also reversed, which I really like when this card's reversed, especially in this situation, because it's indicating that things are coming to light, that you're starting to see a path, that you're starting to see the way out. And the moon, when it's upright, it talks about things being hidden. But when the moon is reversed, it talks about being able to see. And what I like about this depiction, so if I turn the card upright for a second, okay, the focus that your eye goes to is to this house cat here, right here, okay? But when you turn the card upside down, the reflection that the house cat is looking into is the black jaguar or the black panther up here, right? This primal wildcat. There's a level of just transitioning from this little house cat and transitioning into this primal force of stepping into your power and embodying all of this power. And when you embody all of that and you've got the balance of nurturing with the Empress, and you turn this Empress called upright because now you're nurturing yourself and you're standing in your power and you're doing all this, and you now are able to see the path properly because you've healed and you've let go and you've got a vision now and you've got focus. That's what this is all about. The clouds are clearing. The fog is clearing. That's actually more. The fog is clearing. And kind of show me, so I got back into swimming recently, and what they're showing me is like goggles. And if you're a swimmer, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very common problem. And then your goggles get fogged up. And then they're showing where it's almost like you're there and you're just, and then you put the goggles back on and it's a whole new light that you're seeing everything in. Right? You've removed the fog, you've wiped that fog away, and then now you put the goggles back on and now you can see everything above and below the water so clearly. That's what I'm getting here with the moon being reversed. You can't transition from the house cat to the Black Panther without shedding all of the survival and comfort of the house cat. The house cat is a house cat because it relies on humans and others to support itself. The Black Panther will never rely on humans. The Black Panther is 100% self-sufficient. It's not worried about what others are doing. It's not worried about where its next meal is coming from. It's not worried about where the water is coming from. It's not worried about the shelter because it knows it can get that on its own. It knows its capabilities. And that's what differentiates the house cat from the wild cat. The wild cat doesn't need to have the humans to feed it and to bathe it and to keep it warm. The wild cat is completely capable of taking care of itself and being self-sufficient on its own. And that's kind of this transition of, if you've ever been in a situation, right? And the Two of Cups might also be talking about that a little bit, of if you've been in a situation where you felt like you've been, reliant on other people or other people's generosity or other people's goodness. And now you're stepping into this energy of, okay, I can be in a relationship, but I can be my own person. I don't need to rely on my partner, or I don't need to rely on my siblings, or I don't need to rely on my parents. I now be my own person. I can do my own thing. And I am going to do my own thing no matter, and sometimes in despite of what others are saying I can and cannot do. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm going to end with that beautiful message, right? Where are you holding the energy? What have you not dealt with? What have you now let go of? What is it you're holding on to? I'm really getting to focus on grief. Where is the grief in your life that you have not let go of? And grief doesn't always need to be directly related to like a loss of a loved one, although oftentimes that's what we associate it with. But it could also be grief within your workspace, grief within your job, grief within finances. But where is that feeling of grief that you have not managed, have not dealt with, have not cleared? Where is that sitting? Where is it sitting physically in your body? And where is it sitting in your space and in your being? And on that note, I'm going to leave it there. And I'll see you all in my next reading. Bye for now.